Okay, this is just a quick code walkthrough. I might do a couple of videos, so this is the first of a few of them if I run out of time, right? Now, the customer login, that's the first page that we actually, it's the index page we kick off in. I'll go down to that in a second. That's the index page here. Okay, so we start with that one, okay? So the index page, very first page, again, at the top of every file, right, there's going to be this line of code here. Okay, now I'm not expecting you, or anybody would be, to know all the details of PHP. This first line, though, is very, very important because and you can look this up, you can actually copy and paste it out and put it into Google. It's a very important line of code. It's in all of the files, and it allows, it scales the pages to be viewable on mobile devices. Okay, so it's a very important piece of code. I won't go into details, but it says initial scale 1 device width. Okay, so it's extremely important. So you might want to mention that it's in all of the files. Okay, now the second line here is the style sheet. It's the gray style which we have defined. I'll briefly run over the gray.css style sheet, but you wouldn't want to go into too much detail, right? Essentially, it applies the style to each of the elements on the page. Now, the elements on the page, in this case, there's only a few. In this case, it is a link to the customer sign up form, a link to the customer login form, a link to the freelancer sign up, and a link to the freelancer login. That's all we're on this page. So there's not much to see here except that, but these two lines will be everywhere, right? They're linked, and that's how you click on a link. It says freelancer sign up, and it will divert you when you click on it, right? Like on Google or wherever, it'll go to those pages when you click on them, right? So let's go. Let's say we clicked on that. We go to the customer login page. Now the customer login page again has those two lines there. I won't go into the details there. Then you'll see something there called a form, right? The form is defined there and it ends there, right, with the /form. The form method in this case is post. You can use a get method, which means you see all the parameters in the URL at the top of the page, but we're using post, which means it goes in behind the scenes, right? The action basically means when you hit the submit button, which is how you define a submit button. I won't go into details, but you just click on it. The form variables in this case are name, customer email, name, password, and they get forwarded to this page. So the action after you hit that's how PHP works, goes to here, the customer login check, right? Now it'll get more interesting now. So we go to the customer login check using the post method, and now we again see those two lines at the very top. We have the server name, which is localhost, because your PHP files are stored on your server, and that server looks for the database at a local place. It doesn't go out over the internet. It assumes that the database, that in our MySQL database, is a local, so it's hosted locally. So you go localhost is the server name rather than defining an IP address for a MySQL database. You can do that, but usually it's this way, right? So I won't go into details. Username is there, which was your account login, and your password was there, and then the database name in this case is there. It's bookings. Okay, that's it. So you create a connection. This is PHP. Anything inside PHP there, and it'll be a question mark. It goes down there. You see the closing one there? That's where it closes. So all that's PHP, and the rest of it is either HTML or JavaScript. There's no JavaScript in this file. I'll go into that. I might need a few videos for this. So anyway, the create connection, you go connection, MySQL, server name, you feed in all your variables. This is enough for you to speak about, but not go into too much detail, right? And if there's an error, it'll just say connection failed, there was a problem, maybe it was down or whatever it was. The customer email is coming in we posted it from the previous one, as I said, and it picks up the customer email value there and puts it into a variable and the password there, right? Then we feed that value, those customer email and password, into a query string. This is a SQL query. So select star from customers, where customer email is the customer email and the password. Then we check, right? If the result is greater than 0, which means we're okay. If it isn't, greater than 0, which means it's let's say it's 0, it means it didn't find a record for that customer email and that password, which means the login failed. There was no results, right? So then once we have got something, we have to set session variables, which are global variables, right? Which basically sets the customer first name, customer last name, customer email, password, and like, so it basically is holding on to these values, right? It stores them, right? Now, once we've done that, we use this here, which is customer homepage. We then divert to the customer homepage with these values now into the system, right? They're no longer post variables. You don't have to go into too much detail, but they're now session variables. So they're stored in a session variable. That is, then we divert to the customer home page, right? So the customer home page will pick up these values that are now stored in the session variables, and I assign them again to an email, right? So it's their password, etc., and the customer first. They all again instantiated again. So their variables on the left and their session variables that were coming in from this. It's a global storage. It's like a library. It stores everything. We got to go get them every time we go to each page. You can go get them, but they're not actually in this page. You have to go get them and bring them in, which is what we're doing here, right? Echo is PHP of just printing some stuff out, and then you've got my bookings, and I've got to go get all the bookings and stuff like that. Now, at the very top, this is the first time we will see this line of code at the very top. That basically says if is set session logged in, right? So that allows us that basically if anybody went to the customer homepage, let's say they happen to have the URL to that and they went there, unless they are already logged in, they're not going to be able to go away. It'll divert them back to the index file and die. So that keeps people out of the system who don't have username or passwords. So that's also a very important point. That's pure PHP, and that goes at the very top. So you might want to mention that if it's is set the session variable logged in, I'll translate it, right? If is set session variable logged in, which we did set, as if you noticed, we set that in the previous page, right? So we're logged in, and then so it knows if it's set or not, if there's anything in there, and if there is, if there isn't, if it's that sign there, that's not, which means it isn't, right? I'm translating it. So header goes to location index BP if it isn't there, and then so nobody can log into those pages. Okay, again, you've got those two. They're very important. And then we've the view services from the customer home page, which you will see that button, etc., etc. So that's the and also so once you've done that, you go to the view services, and there's a button at the top. That's a href. I have put it in as a href, and now I'll put it in at the bottom. Then there's the again, you're getting your variables to log into the server. You're creating your SQLs. You're connecting to the MySQL database, and then you're going to use another query to select star from bookings where the customer first name is first name and customer last name. Okay, so we have to query it, right? And once we get the results back, then we will we have to then, now there's some complicated code here. I don't know how much I need to go into this with you, but we've got the booking day, and we just want to just get all the bookings for the customer there. So this is the booking day is being formatted here, and we've got the service name and the freelancer first name and the freelancer last name that they've booked, right? So that's all their bookings come out. I don't want to go into too much detail. We could spend a lot of time doing this, right? So that's the customer homepage. Now the next big one, and I'll probably leave it at that, and if you have any further questions, you can come back to me. But that's the freelancer booking page that you will click on when you've chosen. Okay, and I'll make this the last one, and you can come back if you need any more. Again, you've got the same stuff up at the top. That's a MySQL function which allows you just to add the link in. The freelancer booking page allows you to add links to their Instagram accounts, etc. Right? Again, I won't go into too much detail there. That's just pulling stuff out of an array out of the array. I could go into a lot of detail on them. If you need that, let me know. Okay. Let me see what the best one is. So there's a lot of code here, and I could spend 2 hours going through this, and I know that you don't have the time for that. So again, it's just going start from freelancers and it's getting the information for the freelancer. So we get the freelancer first name. So we get those variables and we just pull all those variables back and then we put them into the various elements on the page, etc., etc. So that's pretty much all it does. And all the other pages are very similar to that. There's one major array at the bottom when I set up all the times. So we start at 9 o'clock. The minutes go from 0 to less than 4, and I just keep adding on the minutes to the 9 o'clock, and that's how you get all the whole display at the bottom. And you've got bookings, you've got the date, and you've got the slot start time, and all that gets displayed, right? Now, that's the way I implemented the bookings there. And then at this point, we go to the bookings page and then insert bookings over this, right? So that you can see the slots getting filled up. But initially I'll set all the slots to blank, and then as the slots, and then I'll query here, and as I get a booking slot, that gets inserted into the page, right? It writes over what I've written, and then so you have all the free slots available, right? I can go into detail there if you want. It's a bit complicated and I could spend a long time going through it, but there's just some formatting there. The year, month, date. MySQL needs the date in year, month, and day format. So I have the booking day like the 21st of July 2020. It's readable. MySQL needs it like 2020 08 07 20. It needs it. So this here I'm just formatting that there, and that's it there. While rows fetch, while there's another row in the loop, you just keep on looping around and then inserting values there, right? So that's a very brief introduction to the code. I can certainly go into more detail if you need that. Again, I'm scanning through the bookings array here, and option value is inserting it into a list box on the page. That's HTML, which the PHP code is generating to generate the dynamic HTML as it goes to the database. So that's for your information there. These are just buttons which are clicked. On click is a button, on click, a book or cancel, and then it goes to the JavaScript functions at the top. Book here, it gets the element by ID, which is the booking list box. If list box selected in this is minus 1 likely, if there's nothing selected, say select booking time, it gets the button, that's just for our booking or what we're doing. It gets the booking slot, which is the select, the value, etc., and then it'll feed all of them in. It submits the form, and then the verify booking page on the next page will go through all of that. That's when I do the response here. I'll just briefly, again, these things are standard headers at the top. We log in, we get some information, we get all the different fields back down again. We go select star from freelancers, we get the ID of the freelancer, etc., all his prices and stuff, and then we select star from booking. Now, a select star from booking where freelancer is, that is whatever it may be in the booking slot and the booking day. Now, if it comes back, if it's greater than 0, then there's already something booked in there, right? So we're looking for that booking if it exists already, if it's already booked. Otherwise, it isn't booked, and we exit. You see there, exit, we go. Otherwise, we go insert into bookings, i.e. we make the booking, insert into bookings, and then I just come back, you have made a booking, right? And then you close the connection to the MySQL database. So that's pure PHP, and that's how you connect to a MySQL database from PHP. And there's JavaScript there at the top as well. So again, I could spend another 2 hours going through this. That's if you cancel the booking, it's coming back with those details. All right. So if you need any more information, and you need any specific details, come back to me. But that should give you enough material to give a brief introduction to the code. Right. Okay.